I'm academics. Can't ride no wave.
So today, randomly, there was video that got leaked of Sean Diddy Combs seen in a video, which, by the way, is one thing about reading about something. And, sometimes, even when you read an allegation, especially if there's no charges, you don't know what's true and what's not. It's a very different thing when you see it. Now, also, trigger warning for anybody who's sensitive to anything with violence or either domestic violence, because I am going to play the clip. But this is one of those things where if we think about rappers or people who have been accused of either domestic violence or whatever the case is, it's one thing if you see the allegation. It's another thing if you see the arrest. It's like a whole entirely different thing if you see the bruises. And then it's like the utmost if you see the actual video of what happened, right? Like now we're Chris Brown, notoriously, even though we didn't have the video of what happened, based on both of the victims being high-profile celebrities, it definitely affected his career for just off of how heinous and how crazy the bruises looked. If we look at the Ray Rice situation, watching that surveillance footage, that pretty much ended Ray Rice's career. And, I mean, I guess the Quavo and Sweetie thing wasn't really, like, that crazy. But even, Jay-Z's career could have maybe taken a different turn if when him and Solange and Beyonce was in the elevator and Solange was kind of getting at him, if he had reacted differently, that would have been crazy. By the way, going all the way back, there was a time that there was another rapper who was about to get canceled for footage that kind of looked like this, and that was NBA Youngboy. There was an NBA Youngboy footage where he was fighting in a hallway, I believe maybe with Jania. I don't know if it was with Jania, you guys could tell me. And people were done with him at that point. And to be honest, he's one of the few I've said that has survived cancellation, but he only did it by just becoming the hottest rapper in the world. Like, he just had to keep working, putting out good music, gaining that audience to the point that the mainstream outlets that didn't want to cover him was like, fuck it, he has all the people, we got to cover him, right? And that's kind of one of the only ways I've seen cancellation being defeated. You just got to get to the point where they can't ignore you, and they'll seem to stop reporting about the bullshit if you do other things, right? Anyway, this Diddy video, and I'll read where it comes from. I probably should just play the video already, right? But this is a CNN exclusive, which this is kind of like really interested. This is kind of crazy because, I don't know, I mean, my dude Diddy is in a bath towel. I don't know if he was in a freak off or my nigga was, was in the shower. My boy was like chasing her down like a hyena chasing down a prey. And I think this nigga had a loofah in one hand. I don't know what the hell going on, but I'll play the footage. But please, trigger warning for anybody who's sensitive to some of these things. Drill, also, if we're going to have this on YouTube, we should probably be very mindful about, showcasing all this. We probably want to blur this, okay? Since we're watching live stream, obviously I can't blur it in real time, so you guys are going to see it. All right.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video. There is no audio. According to the complaint, Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye, which, according to the lawsuit, prompted Ventura to try and leave the hotel room. The surveillance video obtained by CNN begins as she enters.
By the way, I'll pause a few times to kind of show a few things that I noticed. Again, I don't know the nature of their relationship, and I'm not gonna, I only know what's on face value, but I also don't want to be definitive in anything I'm saying. I'm just trying to analyze based on what I'm seeing. It appears, she's claiming that he punched her before, so before she got out of the room, I guess they were fighting. What we'll notice here, and this was kind of like interesting, is like apparently she was probably sneaking out because she's carrying her shoes in her hand. Like, she ain't want to like put on her shoes inside the hotel and make a noise, so she's like sneaking out, and I think she's trying to put it on at the elevator, and here comes Diddy, and the way Diddy's running down that hallway, man, it's like, bruh, it's like somebody said in the chat, it's like a WWE entrance, nigga. Like, it's like the glass just broke and Stone Cold Steve Austin is running down to the motherfucking ring to help out in a handicap match, bro. This shit just looks crazy.
Leave the hotel room.
So she's put on her shoes here.
The surveillance video.
She presses the button, and here comes this nigga. This nigga running out the back like this is WWE, like he's Randy Orton or something like that, like he's Triple H. He got one hand on the towel because, like, you know, God forbid he was in the middle of a freak off. His dang-a-lang probably still hard, so he got to make sure that shit don't get exposed on the camera. He didn't give a fuck about assaulting her on the camera.
Video obtained by CNN begins as she enters the hallway. The complaint says as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel while yelling at her. The complaint goes on to say he grabbed her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her. In the surveillance video, Combs can be seen grabbing Ventura and throwing her to the ground.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see this part earlier. I did watch this a little bit earlier. Where is this? He's sitting on something and just throwing it at her? That's not in the room, right? That looks like that's like in the hallway?
Threw them at her. In the surveillance video, and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her. In the surveillance video, Combs can be seen grabbing Ventura and throwing her to the ground. As Ventura lies on the ground, Combs then kicks her twice and attempts to drag her on the floor back to the hotel room.
Yo, this is like some Fred Flintstone type of shit, man. This looked ridiculously crazy and insane. Even, even reading this, I didn't think there was going to be video proof that would look like this. I'm shocked, I'm going to be honest with you.
Ventura is seen picking up a hotel phone. Combs seems to walk back to the hotel room, then returns and appears to shove her in a corner.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie. The way how Diddy's walking, bro.
Seems to walk back to the hotel room, then returns.
Yo, like, the way Diddy's walking is like, again, I'm also gonna, just because we only know what we see and we don't know anything else. But it's probably a decent assumption that he was probably, like, if this was caught on camera, he probably was giving her the beats inside the hotel earlier that day, the night before. The thing is, I don't even, like, the way he's walking, he looks heated, bro. I don't know what the fuck she must have did. Again, I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm not saying she had to do something to cause this. But this guy looks really irritated. Now, one thing to add, Diddy has had, like, a notorious anger problem. That's been always said in the industry, right? He's quick-tempered, he doesn't calm down, and usually he'll do the most and then play cleanup afterwards. You get what I'm saying?
And appears to shove her in a corner. Moments later, he can be seen throwing an object in her direction. According to Ventura's now settled lawsuit, the pair began dating several years after they met in 2005. They parted ways in 2019. Combs' attorney said the decision to settle was in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Ventura declined to comment on the video, but her attorney told CNN the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs. Words cannot...
Now, again, and anytime I'm going to speculate, I'm going to let it be known that I'm speculating. You know, we all were kind of confused why Diddy settled so quick. We read the complaint. The complaint was already, had a bunch of stuff saying that she was kind of forced to have sex against her will with a bunch of dudes, do these freak offs, and he would be violent to her, this and third. But, with all things considered, especially things that we saw in other lawsuits that followed, it always felt like she didn't drop everything in the lawsuit, right? And I think we all probably agree that they, right before they filed, or maybe the day of, I don't know what happened, they got a hold of Diddy's team and started telling them, like, hey, listen, we could sell this or the other shit is coming out. Now, some people have actually, assume that some of those other things might be information about Diddy fornicating with dudes, like, him being gay, or, him doing other things that might be like nefarious or whatever. But after seeing this, and I'm not trying to say that Cassie leaked this at all, but I'm wondering if this videotape was available to Cassie and her team, because I could see Diddy, if they say, like, you got to think about it, why Diddy would just settle immediately? Like, you already got the media hit, right? Immediately. She must have had some shit she ain't dropped yet. Or she was saying, we could get into that now. Maybe Diddy knew this video was there, and he probably thought paying whatever he paid meant this video would never come out. Now, we're going to get back to when this actually happened and why this video never went anywhere. And supposedly there was no police investigation ever about this, right? Like, police never really investigated. But let me keep playing this video.
The decision to settle was in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Ventura declined to comment on the video, but her attorney told CNN the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs. Words cannot express the courage and fortitude that Miss Ventura has shown.
Hey, this is another reason I keep telling you I believe Cassie's working with the feds. Because after Cassie has gotten paid, Cassie's attorney still is following up all of these things. Like, you would think, I'm not saying that he's not going to still represent her about these issues, but her attorney has been on record almost like saying, yes, I'm glad his house got raided. Yes, I'm glad that these things are happening, which kind of almost says, like, he's almost representing what we would think is her opinion, that I'm glad Diddy is fucking getting what we thought was due to him. And that would only mean to me that she's definitely going to be cooperating with the feds if she hasn't already. Keep in mind, the feds, we don't know who they talked to, but they told us who they didn't talk to. They didn't talk to the little Rod dude. But we would assume that they would talk to Cassie, right?
In coming forward to bring this to light. The video hasn't been seen publicly before and comes on the heels of a series of civil lawsuits alleging Combs' involvement in sex trafficking and sexual abuse. Allegations Combs has repeatedly denied. In a December 2023 statement, Combs responded to the claims in all the lawsuits, saying, "Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged." CNN has reached out to representatives for Combs.
Now, that statement in itself, and we're going to get to it in a little bit, that statement, again, is, when people are devoid of information and they're trying to figure out, is this someone who just got, because there are theories out there that Cassie, who supposedly had allegedly cheated on Diddy with the trainer, and supposedly she went on to marry this trainer and had kids by this trainer. Hey, her career didn't flourish. Maybe money got low, right? And now she's like, fuck, how could I get some money? Well, Diddy was kind of mean to me. I know a bunch about him. Let me go do a shakedown, right? So there are some people that had the theory that, even Vlad said this to me. Vlad said, he didn't tell me who he spoke to, but he said he knew someone within the Hollywood circles that would tell him, that was close friends with Cassie, and their conversations that Cassie had years prior and pretty much all the way up to the lawsuit was that she was into some of that voyeuristic behavior and was into them freak-offs. Like Cassie was into it. Like, she wasn't like, oh no, we're doing it. Like, that was her lifestyle too. She liked it. Right? Now, could this person be capping? Could she have had some type of Stockholm syndrome at a point where she's been kind of subjected to these freak-offs that she just says, fuck it, and her will's just been, and just says, all right, cool, I'm down with it now. Whatever. But here's the point. For those people who had that theory, they were just thinking that, listen, this is what happens when you move to, when in time you go to a different era, which is like the Me Too era, and consensual freak shit could get turned into non-consensual shit. Pretty much those people are probably looking at this today like, oh wow, no, there was probably some shit. For the other people, and there's another group of people who always said, I've always heard the stories. I've always heard Diddy's a bad guy. I've always heard Diddy might have did this, but you've never had any proof. Today was probably vindication day, right? Because, you've had those individuals like Stevie J or a few other people that said, yo, we haven't seen any proof. We've seen allegations and we've heard stuff, but we haven't seen any proof. Anyway, the point what I'm trying to say is that for those people watching this video is probably going to then make or turn your mind to believe everything is going to be true, right? So, everybody's allegations against him gets 10 times stronger, even if maybe some of them end up being false, right? Once you see, because he put out this statement saying, I never did nothing, right? So when you see that he wasn't truthful about I didn't do nothing and he actually assaulted her, you're probably now going to think, all right, maybe he did stick his finger up Lil Rod's booty hole or some shit like that. Which, by the way, wasn't an allegation, but I'm just saying, right? Now it makes every allegation believable. Anyway.
Let me be absolutely clear.
Okay. I think Law and Crimes had a little bit different breakdown because we do have to think about the ramifications legally, right? I know people believe that, he would be arrested. From what I heard or saw, he's not at risk of being arrested in California, right? Let me see. Let's see. Apparently, police. Give me one second. Apparently, police only investigate things of that nature. Actually, I'll read because I've seen TMZ put it out. They're the one. Okay, here we go. Because they reached out to some law enforcement sources to see if there's evidence of whatever. They said law enforcement sources tell TMZ there is no record cops could track down pertaining to the incident, right? Which means there wasn't a police report, right? And it wasn't reported to the authorities, right? So they're saying that in terms of opening the case now, LAPD is saying for cases before 2020, there's a 3-year statute of limitations, right? And after 2020, it's a 5-year. And I guess this statute of limitations thing is more of like if the case was actually filed, right? Anyway, it says, in other words, there's no chance the cops will dive into the specific incident for potential criminal charges at this point, at least as far as the LAPD is concerned. That's going to open up another Pandora's box because it's not the LAPD that raided his house, it was the feds. The feds could use the violence and, there's 2 charges that you could probably gain from this. Like the obvious, which would be domestic battery.
I did not allegations of abuse against music mogul.
And then the other would probably be like some sort of kidnapping, which anytime you hear kidnapping, holding someone beyond their will, bringing someone somewhere that you're romantically involved that they didn't want to be in, it also lends to the idea of sex trafficking. So when you see Diddy's dragging her, like preventing her from leaving, it's going to go into the theory of maybe this guy is, keeping women or bringing women places and keeping them there under the guise of like coercion or threats, right? You know what I mean? The threat might be, I'm going to beat your ass, right? Like he literally drags her back to the room. By the way, damn, look, he just cold clocks her, right? I think her back is turned. Oh wow, yeah, this is bad. This is very bad. This is wow. Yo, she's blindsided by this. Wow. And he drags her to the ground, kicks her. She had a Louis V luggage and some other shit. I think these are her shoes. And he grabs them, kicks her again. And then he's dragging her with the other things. And yeah, she looks helpless. Wow. Jesus. All right. We're gonna read the CNN article in a second.
Witness the law.
Give me 1 second. Here we go.
A disturbing new video has just... Hey, everybody, this is a long crime legal alert. Google Incognito tracked users' browsing data without their knowledge.
Okay.
Well, Mass Tort Alliance, one of our... Everybody, so this is Ventura, Cassie, was one of the first people, believe the first person, to file a lawsuit against Diddy. She settled with him the following day, but doesn't take away from the allegations that she asserted. Allegations of physical, sexual abuse, physical violence, sex trafficking, sexual slavery. We know that he faces other lawsuits. We know that his houses in L.A. and Miami were raided by federal agents pursuant to an ongoing sex trafficking investigation. But we haven't heard anything really about, major legal updates, major things, major pieces of evidence. Sure, there have been...
By the way, as I'm thinking out loud, and to add on to the conversation here, what many legal minds and people who have kept up with this case has kind of almost predicted or assumed that if Diddy does ever get charged, what he's going to be charged with. A lot of people believe that if he gets charged, he's going to get charged with racketeering, which under racketeering, it's going to be sex trafficking and racketeering. And under racketeering is going to be sexual assault, battery, maybe weapon possession and drug possession under the racketeering. Why racketeering? Racketeering is probably the easiest way to prove some of these things for law enforcement, especially the feds, because proving if he actually did one instance of rape is probably harder for them to do. To prove that he has a pattern and a systematic approach to bringing women where they want to go, using them for freak-offs, that's more of the easier way, and probably just like how they're doing with Jeffrey Williams right now, aka Young Thug, in court. If you can't get the guy for that one murder, just drop the net of racketeering, and under that you could probably get him for crimes that led up to the murder and happened after the murder, because you're going to claim that he did this as an enterprise. Now, here's the thing, and this is why I bring this up. Let's think about this video. Why wasn't this video out if this was in 2016? Now, I do have the lawsuit here filed by Cassie, and she actually does mention this incident. She mentioned this incident pretty vividly. And let's see if we can find it, or find where she mentions this incident and what she actually said about it. Apparently that was the Intercontinental, so let's just search into Continental. Here we go. So in point 82, it says, freak-offs would often take place in hotel suites, including the Trump International in Columbus Circle, L'Hermitage in Beverly Hills, the London Hotel in Los Angeles, and the Intercontinental Century City, the Intercontinental Atlanta, Intercontinental New York City, which, by the way, Drake must be scoffing at Diddy. Drake got that line in Trophies where he says, "I do not stay at the Intercontinental," right? But anyway, I do think that this is an Intercontinental Century City. Let's Google it. Intercontinental Century City. I think this is the one here. So I think this is the one. And matter of fact, if we look through some gallery photos or something like that, we could probably find the hallways looking like how it looked. Let's see. Could you find some we could probably find, we'll look up some pictures shortly, and we could probably find the hallway and the probably a Yelp Intercontinental Century. Yeah, hold on. Maybe on Yelp or some shit. They usually have photos on here, right? They do. They have too much photos. Anyway, we'll oh, these are reviews. Yeah, we'll try to find it later. Okay, we'll try to find it later. Here's why it's important. Let me just try to stay on topic, right? The reason why the footage never came out is, again, so we have Intercontinental mentioned here a couple times. It happened at Intercontinental. That's where the free costs went off. At 83, it says around one occasion around 2013, there's a freak off that was set up in an Intercontinental Hotel in New York City. Okay, now they're saying there was a bunch of damages by that and whatever the case is. Clearly, what we also get to realize is that Diddy's companies probably had a very close relationship with the Intercontinental Hotel. We're been told. Let me tell you this: like, if you've ever stayed at a hotel, right, and you've racked up tens of thousands of dollars, like it literally, as it says here, I know you can't see it. Sorry. If you ever stayed anywhere that racked up tens of thousands of dollars in damages in a hotel, you know what they would say? Not only do you have to pay, but you're not welcome here anymore. That's just kind of normal, right? You don't keep inviting back the same person who's fucking your shit up, especially these establishments. Sometimes even on Airbnb, like if like they might even fuck with your account if like you did damage to one of their properties. That's just how it is. So you're telling me that in 2013, he breaks a bunch of shit or some shit happens when they're staying there. He pays tens of thousands of dollars and he comes right back. Now, the reason why I'm going to keep bringing up this racketeering thing is that the reason this footage didn't come out is because Diddy paid the hotel off. Now, that is kind of along the lines of why racketeering exists, right? Diddy systematically probably funneled money. I don't know if he paid it directly through cash. Maybe he had like one of his assistants do it. Maybe he had a business partner pay the $50,000. But you're gonna see here later. Here we go. And this is the one right here. So point 120 says in or around March 2016, which that's what's caught on video. If you could see it in the corner up here. Yeah, you see March 5th, 2016. That's what it says on there. Cool. All right. So March 2016, during a freak off at the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, Los Angeles, Mr. Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Mrs. Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye. After he fell asleep, she tried to leave the room, but as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Mrs. Ventura, which, by the way, then contextualizes. I'm thinking this nigga was in the shower, like, probably, and heard her leave. Looked like Diddy probably, like, he got that post-nut clarity. He's passed out, you know what I mean, snoring like any nigga does after they just probably, you know, fucked up whoever. And looked like that's when he caught her leaving. He followed her into the hallway in the hotel, yelling at her, blah, blah. He grabbed her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her, causing the glass to crash around him as she ran to the elevator to escape. She managed to get to the elevator, and when she got to the lobby, quickly took a cab to an apartment. Upon realizing that her running away would cause Mr. Combs to be even angrier with her and completely stuck in this vicious cycle of abuse, Ms. Ventura returned to the hotel with the intention of apologizing for running away from her abuser. When she returned, hotel's security staff urged her to get back in the cab and go to her apartment, suggesting that they had seen the security footage showing Mr. Combs beating Ms. Ventura and throwing glass in the hotel hallway. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs paid the Intercontinental Century City $50,000 for the hallway security footage from that evening. Now, I think this line also tells me that Cassie knew more about this footage, and maybe she knew more about this footage either before she filed this lawsuit and she got a copy of it, or something of the sort, because, like, it just doesn't make sense that when you were coming back, the security says, don't come back, just leave, but somehow you find out about the money that Diddy paid to the security that day after you left, the $50,000 for that footage not to come out, right? It says, after this, Ms. Ventura left her home in Comstock and went to a hideaway at a friend's home in Florida. James Cruz, the president of Bad Boy Management. Oh, no, well, then, sorry, it's a period. Then it says, James Cruz, the president of Bad Boy Management, tracked Ms. Ventura down and told her that the single would not be released if she did not answer Mrs. Combs' phone calls. Yeah. So that's when Diddy was like hunting her down to make sure that she would be able to answer from all this. Now, back to the whole, you know, racketeering portion of it. That would be an act of racketeering, right? Like, if you're having your president of your label hunt her down in another state to try to bring her back, which might also be considered as sex trafficking if you're telling her she must come back or talk to Mr. Combs with the threat of coercion or the threat that your single won't be released. which is, pretty much like you're threatening her financially. But also this paying of $50,000, right, to the hotel for the tape not to come out is going to be very interesting. That's going to be like super interesting because usually with racketeering, and this is why every time you see, like, for example, the Southern District of New York, anytime they indict one of these gangs that have a rapper in it, you always hear that rapper was selling heroin or some shit. Like, they always put a drug charge or something to validate the idea of with any organization or criminal organization, one is gonna think, what? So where is the money trail, right? Where's the money trail with this? This is a good way to establish the money trail. He paid $50,000 to these people, and by the way, here's the thing: I'm pretty sure that the feds are probably gonna show up to the Intercontinental and probably try to press these guys. Yo, why did no one? Right? And usually, again, we just finished talking about, this whole little Riddler nigga who was talking about the Drake shit at that hotel. Some of these hotel employees are actually trained and certified, and it's their obligation that if they see something happen to a guest, they're supposed to step in or report it to authorities. Like, they're not supposed to do what supposedly happened here, which is turn a blind eye or take payment to hide or suppress footage. So I'm pretty sure that the feds or some authorities is going to be looking at them to say what the fuck was going on. And that might even spill up to the higher levels of the Intercontinental, like, hotel chain and say, hey, so if he broke a bunch of shit a couple years ago, y'all kept letting him come here and abuse people, and it's in lawsuits and alleged that he was supposedly sex trafficking into y'all hotel, and y'all are deleting the footage and hiding the footage, are y'all an accomplice? Like again, whether that's true or not saying it is, but it's a good way to probably put the pressure on other people around Diddy to make sure you get either more footage or additional information that could probably go towards their investigation, right? Okay, cool. So, Diddy supposedly paid $50,000, right? Which is kind of, it's kind of crazy, right? $50,000, and this is one of the reasons I think that Cassie had a copy of this tape. I'm kind of shocked. Well, not shocked. I'm wondering how she knew this. I'm wondering how she knew about the $50,000, right? Also, how did he pay it? If he paid it in cash, that's probably smart for him. There's no paper trail unless that was caught on camera, right? If he gave them a check, that could always be subpoenaed in terms of his records and bank records. If he gave them a cashier's check, if it was a wire, those are things that, this is 2016. This is not like the 80s. They could definitely get some information about that. We'll see. Also, there's probably more footage that probably exists. A lot more footage. Anyway, let's get back to this.
Legal filings, but this video has now changed the entire conversation. And we're going to go through this. There's only, I want to warn you, so much of what we can and cannot show you because this is a very disturbing incident of physical violence. But what it is it actually matches up almost word for word with the complaint that was filed by Cassandra Ventura. I want to bring in right now Tracy Walder, former CIA and FBI agent, frequent contributor here on Sidebar, and also national security contributor here on News Nation. Tracy, your immediate reaction to seeing this, because it is absolutely gut-wrenching and incredibly disturbing to see, in my opinion. What do you think?
I could not agree with you more. It was shocking, quite frankly. It's not that I ever dismissed any of Miss Ventura's claims. I always have believed her and her claims. I suspect this video was probably used in terms of her bringing up that initial case. I'm also shocked, though, that there's not additional criminal charges as well. This is extremely severe, goes on for such a period of time, and she was clearly very much injured. It is just appalling to watch.
Now,
also, and I know I'm trying to get y'all to watch it rather than just keep interjecting, but I'm trying to put my 2 cents and kind of contextualize it too. I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a point for me, especially with some of the allegations I would hear about Diddy, I would say, and I remember even saying it was kind of odd, and how he dodged that kettlebell incident was a little bit, there's been a few times in just like me watching celebrity life, I've seen people really get out of some shit, and you're like, how the fuck? I mean, obviously the Epstein thing, I wasn't like tuned in at the time when it went down, but if you ever watch documentaries on it and how he got out of his shit, like at least the first time, it's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, it almost seems like some Illuminati shit. Now, going back to Diddy, I was one of those people that said, at least at first, I was like, bro, there's no way you could just do all these wild things and just have everybody silent. Like, these are the days of clout chasing and like people run their mouth, people trying to sell footages. But like, there's nobody gonna hold it down for. Like, if Diddy was really going around bragging that he shot people or got people killed, bro, there'd be a million people who are like dying to come out and say these things now. Or if there was like video proof or evidence that could be suppressed, no way Diddy could really do all this. But now that I see, I'm like, damn, this nigga really did pay the money for the shit to go away. And really, the shit never showed up until damn near 8 years later. That's it kind of goes to, you know what I mean, some of the nefarious means of how Diddy probably was resourceful with making shit disappear. Like, you know what I also heard? At that, and I don't know if y'all heard that, and maybe I'm misremembering. Remember the whole thing where they said that he supposedly slapped J. Cole or some shit like that, and there was an argument over Kendrick Lamar, and Kendrick Lamar saying that, you know, in control, that, you know, he's kicking over the buildings or whatever the case is. Apparently, which always shocked me, bizarrely enough, after that incident happens, everybody's still within their right mind and understanding of, wait, we're not gonna all scatter. They supposedly checked everybody's phone. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm not making that up. They checked everybody's phone to make sure nobody had evidence of that going down. Now, people, of course, like, they did word of mouth, like, yo, that happened, but there was no video, no audio, no nothing of that shit going down. Which I always thought, I'm like, nigga, you only see that in the movies. Like, yo, everybody stop. Let me see all y'all phones. Phone check. That always kind of sounded crazy to me, right? I'm like, nah, Diddy ain't that powerful. Like, he can't just force everybody to delete evidence. Like, these days, people are thirsty as fuck to have some shit, especially if he went down in public.
Before I mention what we see in the video, going back to the complaint, because this seems to line up with it, in her civil complaint, it says in or around March 2016, and we believe that is when this video is from. I'm just going to double check. They say this video is dated March 5th, 2016, during an FO. Now that is referred to as a freak off, one of these